Good Saturday morning, Eddie.
Chris, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I am good. I've got Saratoga running in my blood here. I am super anxious for today's races, and I got a little taste of it this week. I just, you know what happens when I go to Saratoga? I just want more. I want more.
I think I told you when we walked in, I just looked around. I go, God, I love this place. It's just, it's, it, it's like going Christmas shopping. You walk through the gates, and there's a hustle and a bustle around. Everybody's happy. People are nice. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Uh, going, hey man, haven't seen you in so long. How you doing? Oh, it's just so great.
And I also figured out that if you were going to run for mayor of Saratoga Racetrack, I think you could probably pull that off because you certainly know everybody there. And if you see Eddie at the track, make sure you stop him and say hi. Eddie's the nicest guy on the planet, and he'll always stop and make time for you and talk a lot of handicapping. But I really enjoyed the time spent with you, Eddie.
I appreciate that. I've just been fortunate. I get treated nicely there. I've met a lot of good friends. I'm going to meet. I've already met in the first 2 days, or re-met, reacquainted with some friends, and more today, and hopefully for the weeks to come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We just started. So we've got plenty of time to go and plenty of horses to handicap. And again, today's card's really good. I'm going to so before we get into that, let's just recap. We had the show the other night, the night before opening day, and we talked about the two stakes races. The first one was race 7, the Wilton, and we said this the other night. This was a tough race. This race here was really wide open. We thought we could slay the chalk, I guess. It ended up the chalk ended up winning. I think that was Castellano. I think that was his first win he had on the day. So the race ended up being 7-1-4. I was trying to beat the 7, and I tried to beat it with a 2. That didn't work out so hot. I finished 4th there. I know you like the 6, but that was a tough race. But hey, listen, sometimes you just can't beat the favorite, and that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah, well, JJ ran 4 races that day, and he won 3 of them. And we had said on the show, or I know that I definitely did, that I said, I'm trying to beat the 7. I'm trying to beat the chalk. May not be the smartest play, but, I played 6-4 there. I thought the 6 had a good chance. And, the 4 ended up coming third. The 6 just didn't get a good break, and then he chased and flattened out a little bit at the end. But the 7 proved to be the best in that race. So
No doubt. And the other big race was race 9, the Schuylerville. We were both on the same one, and this was the spot play that we had. Listen, I was all about the one. I mentioned that it's a single. That was your top pick too. We really went in locked and loaded. I mean, I had, you hear the voices around you. I had a couple people trying to talk me off the one. Had a couple other choices, but the best advice I can give anybody: don't let anybody talk you out of a pick. Because when that happens, nothing good ever comes of that. You can listen to people's opinions and hopefully don't let me talk you off something. If you feel strong about a horse, you roll with it. But we both had that one, and I know you really like that one too, Eddie.
yeah, sure did. I mean, we both said that the one seemed to be a standout. Actually got a little better price than I thought we were going to get on the race, because I thought it was going to go off at like 2-5, just from based on my handicapping and your algorithms that showed it, that looked like a standout. I went 149 in that race, and fortunately it came in 19. The 4 didn't run as well as I thought, but what I enjoyed the most about that is. We had a good friend of ours, a good friend, that I'd met last year at Saratoga, Walter, and he was all about the 9. And then at the last minute, he realized how strongly we felt about the 1, and he had a big hit on the 1, and so I was happy for him, and hopefully happy for other viewers and listeners that jumped on the 1 in that race.
Yeah, when you get potential singles, there's actually value when you look at it, because I actually go from a contender chart, and if the horse is even money, that's actually value. If you just think that one's a single, we got 2-1 in that horse, So we
Yeah.
were about 4 ticks up from where I thought the horse was going to be, probably 7-5, something like that. But I was surprised that we got 2-1 on it. And when I looked at the payoffs, I didn't play this. I just played I was just going to go win. But the trifecta, I was 1,695, and I didn't even know this until I looked at it a little bit ago. But the order was 195. The 50-cent try, even with the the favorite was the 9, one was the second favorite. So having them on top with the 5, the 50-cent try paid $26. I was
For
surprised
50,
by that.
when you think about that, for 50 cents, that's like what, 4-1 almost?
Yeah.
Right around there?
So
That's not bad.
everybody must have been playing the 9 on top in the tries. That's the only way I can think that you get that much value on that. And then the exacta, I don't get crazy about $8 exactas, but for every dollar to make 8.20 on the 1-9 exacta, and that was top 1-2 on the board. I didn't see, I was kind of leaning towards the 9. I saw what he opened at, but I was actually surprised by the value. But again, there's different ways to do it. I love the win bet, but you got to figure out ways of how you can cash when you have a strong opinion.
Absolutely. And and when people look at it, one of the things that I've learned a lot about is stop trying to beat the chalk if that's who you think is going to win. And also, hey, if you got a strong opinion, you just said $8. Hey, getting $16 for every $2 exacta, play it for $10, play it for $20 straight, and then all of a sudden you're getting $100+ back on your almost $200 back on your bet. Pretty damn good return right there.
You're darn right it is. You're darn right it is. So the other thing I
Hey,
wanted to do, go ahead, Eddie.
no, I was going to say before we move forward, can everybody see my lake in the background? This is heaven. This is why I'm here. And Chris came by while he was up here. We had a great time, and he loved the cabin. And so for anybody that's coming up, you want to come out, we can have a little cookout, go canoeing on the lake, whatever you want to do. Just hit me up, and we'll have some fun up here.
Eddie, you didn't take me for a canoe ride.
Well, that's we do too much together, Chris. The canoe ride may have been a little much.
All right, you got me. You got me there. Maybe next time we'll do a canoe ride around the lake, but it's probably too much work for me at the end of the day. But so I wanted to just go through, because I get a lot of these questions, and I want everybody to understand that is tuned in, comes in and watches the replays. What am I trying to do here on these pace sheets that I'm sharing every day? And really what I'm doing, and this is my objective here. And I'll tell you one of the things I struggle with, and I said this to Eddie the other day. I'm pretty good at picking 4 horses. And if I was to play like a 4-horse pick 6 in every race, I'm your guy. But what I realized is I was not picking the right horses in order. I had a lot of times my top pick, because I get influenced by the odds. And sometimes my top picks do not pan out the way I want to. And a lot of times I'm actually better picking the second place horse, finishing first. And I say, what the heck? This stuff that I am sharing every day, and we're sharing, we've been talking about. And again, I want to stress, this is a work in progress. So I really want feedback from everybody. You like it, you don't like it. Well, could you try doing this? Because I've got all kinds of thoughts, and I was picking Eddie's brain about some of this stuff, and I'll show you what helps me. And I want to make sure that, because I haven't probably the key's not really good. I need to get more into detail. I have some other thoughts on some things that I want to do, and I want to include on this, because I actually run something else. So these algorithms that I have that judges the size of the circle, I actually have the actual data for that. So it'll show as like a score. And what I do is I'm calling them actually like gap horses. So I look for gaps. Like if I can see like 1 horse or 2 horses are so far ahead of everybody else, I'm not so much concerned about a score or anything. Because if I was that good, I just quit my day job and I could do this full time. But
Hey,
when I
Chris,
see,
let me jump in real quick on 2
yep,
things. So one, he said that he's good at picking 4 horses, and that you're your pick 6 guy for people. Let's tighten that up a little bit, because if you did a 50 cent pick six with, or let's say a $1 pick six with four horses in every race, it's a $4,000 ticket. What this algorithm is going to help you do is you're going to find a couple of singles maybe, or pare it down to two horses in certain races. So that being said, Chris, talk about just real quickly vertical versus horizontal. The way to look at this sheet, I understand how to look at this, but you've got the bubbles and things like that. So just talk vertical and the bubbles real quick.
Yep. So what I want to do, and I think my little pencil is going to work here. So what everybody needs to do is, and by the way, I'm updating this after scratches. So to me, it adds more value because you look at a lot of data out there, and everybody puts it out 3 nights before the races happen. Stuff changes between the races, but let me just show you. Train your eyes to go up. If I can do this, or maybe I can't do this. There it is. This is my little green arrow. I may have to make it a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Anyway, train your eyes to go upwards. So when you look at the top, you can see the horses that are going to be at the front, or they should be at the front, based on the data that's in the PPs. So when you look at like this race, for example, this was the second race. You see the 5 actually had some good numbers on early speed. And I just want to take you in. So the second part of this, before I run all over the board, this is the early pace. So you got to train your eyes to go up. So pretend like this bottom thing doesn't happen. This is what it looks like if you were to look, who's got the best early speed. And then I take total pace. So go this way with your eyes. Now there's another thing out there that does visuals, and they got the circles and squares and all this other stuff. I'm trying to keep it simple. But what I want to share is when you look at the information, you know who's going to go early, and who's going to go to the best total pace. So what you're looking for is horses up here to show, up in this neck of the woods, because when you see it up here, that's what sticks out. Now, the thing I'll tell you about this race now, so this number here, that's what this is right here. So it's just giving you a breakdown so you can see it a little clearer. Early speed that I just talked about, this one right here, that's the second box. And then the something that people do not do a lot of, and look at the late pace. And I'm going to talk about this for a second, because when I look at late pace, a lot of times you may have your top pick that shows up here. But what I'm seeing is when you look at late speed, and this goes with the territory, but sometimes seeing it is just a little bit easier to understand. Sometimes the best late speed is usually your trifecta horse. So I don't want to be super tout here and say to everybody, this is what it looked like and what's going on. Because really on paper here, you would have taken probably the one of the two. Now, I still handicap this race. I like the 1. I don't know who else the other one I like, but first off, 1 was a pace advantage. He was a early speed. He was a 6. So they teach you in pace school, take anything with a +2 on the early. So the way this race finished out is this is the 1 won this race. So that was the pace advantage. And guess who came in second?
The 3.
Number 3 came in second. So the race finished 1-3-6. It looks like we didn't have a lot of data on the 6, but I wanted to share that as an example, Eddie. And let me just see if I can pull up one more here without crashing the internet. And hopefully I'm not losing the audience. But I want everybody to see this because I think it's useful. I think you handicap. This is what I'm doing is I am handicapping. And then what I am doing is going back and looking at my picks and just seeing how this whole thing shakes out. And that just showed the same thing again. Hang on. I'm there. I just need to get this shrunk down a little bit so you can actually see it. Zoom out. All right, here we go. So this is another race. Now, let me tell you something about this one. Yours truly handicapped the race. And I actually had, when I handicapped it, I was actually 10-2 were my top 2 picks. The other thing I want you to look for is I want you to look for horses that are at the top.
And Chris, I'm sorry, this is race 5 opening day?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay.
So when you look at this race here, I just want you to key in on and watch this as it unfolds. If I can get my mouse working, same thing. Eyes go up. So on here, this is who's probably at the front, and then your total pace. It looks like 5-1. You did have some pace here, a little bit pressure. So I would have considered the 1, and I think that's why I took him. Early speed, the 5. Looked like he stuck out, the 5 and the 10. And then over here on late pace, it was the 6 and the 2. I don't know where the 1 was. Maybe there was something on the algorithm. But guess who won this race, Eddie?
I believe, if I remember correctly, the 6 won the race.
The race was won by the 5. I was 10-2.
Oh, was it?
I was 10-2, and I went back. I didn't have time, to go back. I went look at this. So I went back and looked at it. I was 10-2, and I didn't even have the 5 in my top, and I should have, because he was actually had the top total pace, and on paper there was no reason. He was early speed. Yeah, you could say, it was the pressure was a little high at 22, but that's how I kind of use this stuff, because I want to go back and put my horses in the right order.
So just to clear it up for the listeners and the viewers here, your total pace number and your 3 charts over to the right, you're looking at it from top to bottom. You're not looking at it from left to right.
Right. So you gotta know what you're looking for. So this one here, I'm going from bottom to top. So the best stuff is at top. So always remember, top is good. And then the bottom on total pace, I'm looking this way. So again, you start seeing horses over here on this side. This is going to be your top picks. This is where you can get some more confidence. Again, it breaks it down so you can see, well, how do we get there? We know the 5, the 10, the 3. That's what shows up here. So there's a lot of horses in this field. The other thing I want you to think about too is when you see a big cluster, especially on total pace, and nothing really sticks out, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of those races are the ones I pass, because they're so contentious. And if I don't have a strong opinion, I don't get crazy about it. So this is actually another tool that helps me think about where my stronger spot plays are going to be. And then late pace, same thing. If you go back and you see it, these horses are the ones that usually come back to finish up the exactas and the tries. So just wanted to show that. I am going to show, and hopefully I don't shut this off, Eddie. I don't know what it even shows on the screen here. Don't say.
It says your paint up.
All right, hang on. Where's I lost you. Where the heck am I? Exit full screen. All right, you're back. I can see you now. Hang on one second. You can see my. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I wanted to share a little bit that with you. And again, if you guys have any opinions, you got any thoughts, you got any ideas, and I see I've got a thumbs up already. You guys can do me a favor. Give us a thumbs up. If you like what you're seeing, retweet it on Twitter. It's a work in progress. I want to show more as we go, but for right now, I just want you to have it as a horse player to see what you're figuring out. So, Eddie, we're already 20 minutes in. This is what happens when we get talking, because we love to talk. Let's get into talking about what we're here for today, and we're going to start with race number 8, which is the Diana Stakes.
Yeah, so the Diana, you got it's one of my favorite races. It's a grade 1 race on the turf. This year's edition of it is maybe not my favorite race, because you've got only 6 horses in it, and 4 of them are Chad Brown horses. And don't get me wrong, I like Chad Brown quite a lot, and hopefully we're going to have him on the show here in the next week or two. But you have 4 Chad Brown horses. Charles Appleby brought a horse over from Europe, and Spencer came over to ride this horse. So you got to really consider that horse. And then you got Albert Stahl, who's a really nice trainer, has been around the game for a long time, and he's got an entry. Looking at this race real quick, if Flavien Prat doesn't get a win prior to this race, this could be his first win. He's on number 4. I hope it's pronounced Rogier. This horse, his time figs numbers from France are strong. They're actually kind of a standout numbers, in my opinion, the way I handicap. He won a grade 3 his first time out in North America. Uh, and that was after a layoff in like a 4 or 5 month layoff. Maybe bounced a little bit in his next start in the New York Grade 1, but he was favored over the number 3, Bleecker Street, who's 7 for 7, has never lost. So I think maybe he did bounce a little bit in that. He's worked good since that. Um, could be Pratt's first win, but in this race, I'm going with Bleecker Street. I as much as I want to beat him, it's one of those things I say, don't try to beat the favorite if you think he's going to win. The horse is 7 for 7. He's done nothing wrong. He's won from different positions on the track. He's won from the front. He's won from mid pack. He's won from the rear. He hasn't always gotten a perfect trip. So this could be a special horse. And my only question about this is, did Flavian Pratt had the first choice on this horse because he rode him 2 back, or did Irad have first choice because Flavian rode Rogier in the previous race in the New York Grade 1? So I'm going to go 3-4. I'm not going to try to overthink this. You know, I love Charles Appleby bringing the horses over. He's had tremendous success here, but I'm going straight 3-4, and I'm not boxing it. Straight 3-4, and if I get a price on the 3, I'm going to bet him to win.
Okay, I could support that, Eddie. I'm looking at this one
And I want to bet the 6. You know, I want to bet my boy Joel on the 6, and it's hard for me, but you know, I can't bet him every race. So
yeah, you can. There's no rule against that, Eddie. So I look at this one, and you know, I'm just trying to think: is this a bunny layup for Bleecker Street? Is you know, and I before I even looked at the morning lines or anything, listen, Bleecker Street is probably a single here, but guess what? Everybody else in the world is going to be singling this horse as well. So if you're going to single this horse in a ticket, it's probably you got to zig when everybody else is zagging, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when Eddie says you're going to get value in a pick 3, 4, 5, or even a double with even if the four is lower than 3-1, just because everybody is going to be hammering Bleecker Street. They're going to be singling them to the hills. Everybody's going. So I like Eddie's pick of the 4, and I'm not going to argue that. I'm just looking at from some different aspects because, you know, again, we talked about this. Chad's got, you know, most of the field here. So I'm looking at it. You know, I'm looking at this one technical analysis. And when I see technical analysis, Jose Ortiz is taking this one, but it's Chad Brown. So Chad Brown's making a decision here. Like, I'm going to put Ortiz. Well, Irad rode in Italian. So I am interested in your guy Rosario on the 6. And I was digging on this, and I was kind of caught a little bit because I was thinking about Applebee's horse, Creative Flair. I kind of tossed that one up because it's won at the distance before. But I look at the pace scenario could get hot, but I never single a stalker. I do not like doing. I've been beaten so many times by singling a stalker that I couldn't even tell you. I am going to take a shot with his 6 in Italian that the horse can get out front. It's getting more distance, and this is the first time this horse has gone a mile and an eighth. But you look at the pedigree and you look at some of the pedigree numbers on this one, there's no doubt this horse can run that distance. And, you know, I think it's faced some pace, like the last race. I don't even know what grade 1 that was in Belmont, but, you know, it had some pace. I mean, the fractions were 22-1 and 45-2. I don't know if this one's going to go that. I'm curious, is the 6 and the 1, is the plan to go, let's go all out on the front end and burn both the Chad Browns out so Bleecker Street can win? I don't know. I just feel like 6-1 on the 6. I need to get every bit of that. So let me explain that. You need to get every bit of that 6-1. But I think if you're going to do something here, I I wouldn't toss Bleecker Street, but I think you could take the 6. You maybe take a shot in the 2. I don't know. But Eddie's 4 is what I have on here. I would just look at some value and see if maybe you can beat this Bleecker Street. And again, I could be totally wrong, but I'm going to take a shot, Eddie.
Well, I mean, look, I could argue that the that the 6 in Italian is the best bred horse for the turf and the distance in this race.
Mm-hmm.
And Rogier, all these horses are well bred. I mean, you're not running in this race unless you're well bred. But it just for me, Bleecker Street just really impressed me in watching the replays, and I watched a couple of his races live, and uh, it could end up being 3-6, 6-3, but we'll see how it goes.
We're going to see how it goes. And again, I would not, Bleecker Street is legit. Let's just get that out there. Legit favorite. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say he's a lock because I think I'm going to look at
I still think we'll get 8-5 on that horse at least.
I wouldn't bet Secretariat at even money. So that's just the way my brain works. But the one thing I will tell you, and I didn't mention this about the 6. So Chad Brown typically when he's fired and ready, and I've talked to people about this with Pace. I like a 5 furlong bullet at the end before going into this race with my pick, the 6. Let me see if I can
Yep.
get that to scroll over. But you see right here, we've got a 5 furlong bullet. That's not usually what you see with a Chad. So I am intrigued with the workout. So I don't want to read too much into it, but I also get a little excited about this one too. So Eddie, you're 7. Just so I know, you are 7-4.
No, I'm 3-4.
I'm sorry.
There is no 7.
I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. 3-4, and I'm going 6-3. All right. So let's go ahead to the other stakes race. That would be the Sanford, and I am excited about this one. I've been data mining pedigrees since 7:00 this morning. Who do you like here, Eddie? And tell me why.
Well, before we jump into that, I gotta preface this whole thing is that the Sanford back in 1919 in the 7th running of the Sanford, that's when the Graveyard of Champions basically started, because Man of War lost its only race in that race to a horse called Upset. So what's amazing about the race, the Sanford, is that it's been going on for over 100 years, and it's still a race that sets you up for 2-year-old champion horse of the years and 3-year-old Triple Crown candidates and things of that nature. So this is a race that so many people don't. I don't know that they appreciate it or know the history of it, but look it up, man. You'll fall in love with this race. And today we got 12 horses in this race. So looking at this horse, the 1 and 2 horse in this are out of a sire called Bolt de Oro, who has just jumped off the page as a freshman sire. He's had a great start to his sire career. You've got the 4 horse Forte that looked really good in this only race after not the best of starts and came and won easy. The 5 horse is out of Good Magic, who's out of Curlin, who's out of my favorite Deputy Minister Lineage, who looked really good as well. You've got Mo Strike horses in the race out of Uncle Mo. The 7 horse is out of Justify. The 9 horse Andiamo a Firenze. Freaked. You could say freaked in the mud, or just is as good as it looked, and that could be a scary horse. And then you got the 12 horse Valentina Day, I think it's pronounced. Had a win, came 3rd in the stakes in the second time out. What I like about that horse a lot is it's had 4 works since its last start, and 2 of them have been at Saratoga. So I do put a little bit of weight in that. But in this race, I am going to go with the 4 Forte. I again, I'm not going to try to beat who I think's going to win in the race. I hope to get a decent price on him. And then underneath him, I'm going to use the 7 and the 12. The 7 is called Prove Right. Justify, you might touch on, Justify is just proven to be a standout sire in his own right early on as well. And the 12, I just think has the right pace for the race. So, and I may box it, but I'm picking the 4 to win and using the 7 and 12 maybe in exactas.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And when I was mining the data this morning, and Eddie, you're spot on. I was actually surprised. I was actually surprised at the success that Bolta Oro is having as a sire. The numbers kind of jump off the page, but here's the good news. I feel like when I look at this race, looking at these 2-year-olds, in my opinion, covering the road to the Derby on horse racing today and watching all these races, I try to fall in love with a new horse every week. And I really felt that this year was a disappointing crop. There was nobody that was dominant. I like seeing, the top 2 or 3 best horses that are out there. I think this year, and I'm going to say this now on July the 16th. You remember me, Eddie, when we're talking about this next April. I am going to say that I feel like just looking at what I'm seeing on stats, and I'm looking at the sires, and I'm looking at, some of the early pedigree numbers and the Justifies. I wasn't big on Justify. You've gotten me swayed to really start to like the Justifies. So I'm looking at the stats and they're jumping off the page. And I'm thinking to myself, this could be a really good Kentucky Derby prep season. So I'm really excited about that piece of it.
I am too, and don't forget about Violence, who's the sire of the 4 horse. Violence has already thrown some nice winners in his own right. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we've got some really good young sires, and hopefully that will bring back some really strong 2-3-year-old horses running, and maybe have them around to run at 4 and maybe even 5. I think it'd be good for the game if we started getting some real competitive and noteworthy young horses back in the game.
Yep, there's all kinds of them actually, and I know we're short on time, but I would love to, once I get clearance from my friends over at Twin Spires to show their data file, but just to give them a plug, their ADW, when you guys go into there and look at it, they offer that stuff for free. I know a lot of people use the other thing to go in and drill down and look at some of the numbers, but I'll tell you, I even looking at one of these little Bolta Oro. Violence was one I really haven't paid attention to. Even the Sea Wizard, I think it was on a 3. I think actually that was another one that kind of stuck out to me when I looked at it. So there's going to be some good horses. So here's where I'm going with this race. I love the 4, but I'm also hesitant because I think I looked at what the opening odds were on this 4, Eddie, and I think he opened. Let me see if I can pull this up here. The 4 right now, as of this very second, is 5-2. Actually, they have the profit line being is 3-2. So I love the 4.
Wait, profit line?
Yeah, they have a profit line on Twin Spires. It just says
okay,
based on their algorithms, here's what's happening.
What's the 7? What's the 7 prove right now?
He is 30-1.
That's still the morning line.
Yeah, still the morning line. But if he takes a little money and we see the odds board start talking to us and we start looking at the tote and that horse starts going down, we may be, I'd be excited about that too. So I'm going to be watching this race. This is the one that I am really excited about. So when I look at this one, I like the 4. Eddie covered the things. I mean, you got Pletcher. I like the works, the pattern, Irad. There's a lot to like here. The horse ran an 89 last time. And that's right in line with what the par is. Second start, they usually will take a step forward. The other one that I really like is the 9. Andamayo Forenzi, I guess. I like the pedigree. The horse ran a 93 first time out. And, we've said this before. The thing that concerns me a little bit is I don't know. This horse didn't really get pushed, and it kind of went gate to wire from the front, which I'd rather see that a horse had some fight, some tactical speed, came off the pace. But Jose Ortiz is back on. Kelly Breen is one of those trainers that, again, I'm starting to get lightened up to. I think Kelly Breen is a really good trainer, and I think somebody that we need to watch. And the other thing this is the big thing is when I look at the fractions, the 9 came home in 21-4. That's pretty good. So
it's really good.
I just based on that alone, and again, I'm not getting huge value here. It's not like this one's 10-1 or something. 7-2. I like the 4. I like the 9. Those are the 2 I'm putting on top. And, I got the 12, 2, and 6 sprinkled underneath if you want something, extra on top of it. But I really like the 9 and the 4 here. And that's going to be my play when I stick to it with what I see. But I'm really excited about this race because more than anything, I think it tells a story about potentially what could happen when we get into the Derby Trail next year.
So let me ask you this question, because I know I've had this conversation almost daily when I'm with people at the track, especially at Saratoga. On the 9, Irad rode him the first time, and on the 4, Irad rode him the first time. So does Irad choose the 4 because he thinks he's better than the 9, or is it more like an owner connection thing? I mean, those are some of the things that we'll get into as we move forward. But yeah, sometimes the jockey rides for connections. Sometimes the jockey rides for a different trainer, or sometimes the trainer says, no, I want to go with a different person. So
no doubt. That's a good point. I mean, I watched that jockey game and who's bouncing off who and what's going on. The other thing too, I'll tell you about the 9 that I wanted to call out is this horse was bred for $90,000. And I love looking at the breeding stuff. The breeder, this Mr. Amore stable, bred this horse for $90,000. They didn't sell it. They hung on to this one. And $90,000 is a pretty high breeding fee.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what Into Mischief gets more than that. I think a Pharaoh and Justify probably get more than that. But $90,000, and they kept the horse. So I'm interested in that angle too. That's another one to look for. So not only the jockeys, but I love it when you get a breeder that pays that much money for a sire fee, and then they go ahead and keep the horse. I think that's another angle you can look at.
Well, look, we mentioned Bolt de Oro is stud fees $20,000, but the one horse sold for $190 at the Keeneland sales, and at the Fasig-Tipton sales in August, the 2 horse went for $550,000. So obviously, you had a lot of people that like these horses. So yeah, those are things to look at as well as when you're looking to handicapping a race. The 4 horse Forte sold for $110 at the Keeneland sales, and Violence is going for $25,000 on a stud fee. So don't want to confuse the listeners and the viewers, but certain things to look at and maybe get a better understanding of what it means.
Yep, absolutely. So with that being said, Eddie, we are just about out of time. I know you're headed to the track, and
yes,
you're having a good day, and I will be watching you from home side on the back patio, paying attention and seeing what's happening. But I'm looking forward. So real quick before we dispatch, the one thing I just wanted to call out, Rich, I hope you're watching. Rich not only is a really good interviewer and a podcaster, he's actually pretty good on his Photoshop too. He put this new shirt out there that you can get on Horse Racing Today. I love it. I think the logo looks fantastic. I wish next time I go to Saratoga, I'm going to wear it around for everybody. But a couple things I just wanted to share quickly is, let me see if I need to share my screen again. All right. So first off, Horse Racing Today, you guys all know the site. If you look at HRT gear, There it is. It pops up. There's the shirt right there. It's right here, live and in color. So if you like it and you want to look as good as me, or it makes me look better than me, you can get your stuff right here. But it's a really nice section. And the other thing I want to call out too is something that Rich is doing, and we've partnered with them on horse racing today. Is Picks with the Professor, and I've been watching this Picks with the Professor, and I think doesn't say Red Sox down here, but I'm a Red Sox fan. So I'm down here looking at the 11th, and his pick of the day, I know this for a fact, the Rays he had. And I was like, well, this guy's off his marbles because the Red Sox got so-and-so pitching tonight. It's not going to happen. But guess what? Red Sox bombed. Rays win. This guy's really good at what he does. And I just encourage you to check out his site, pickswiththeprofessor.com. You can see it right at the top. But other than that, I just wanted to give that quick plug. Eddie, I'm going to try and get us back here, man. I got my mouse is playing games with me. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else, Eddie?
No, I'm just looking forward to getting down to Saratoga. I'm going to head out now and see a bunch of friends, have a good time, and hopefully our picks hit and we bring value to some of the viewers and listeners.
Yep. So wherever you are, I hope you guys all have a safe and a fun day. I hope that your picks score, and more important than anything, listen, it's Saratoga, win or lose. It's almost like Florida. No matter what the weather is, it's the place to be. To me, I don't care if I win, lose, bet, draw, whatever. If I'm in Saratoga, it's a good day. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day. We'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you for joining us.
All right, brother. See you, Chris.